I went to Dragon Con like 2 years ago with my son. That is impressive. That's
Dragon Con has always struck me as like a place for people to party, like who all share the same interest. Who like
it's a little crazy. It's a little crazy.
Like, all the conceptual, really cool, weird, like group costumes seem to come out of Dragon Con. Like, is Dragon Con the one where they were really enamored with the hotel floor and they started?
Oh yeah, the hotels are the inside. You look up and it's like this majestic, like it's crazy. Like I took pictures.
There was this radial rug pattern that everybody thought was so ubiquitous with it. And one year, they had guys dressed up in camo, like toy soldier type stuff, but they were wearing the pattern of the rug and they were all laying down on the rug with their rifles and stuff. And then I think somebody was selling the fabric and women were making skirts and dresses of it. And then they got a cease and desist from Marriott or whoever. It was like
if you go to DragCon, you really need to plan and map things out because it is in like 8 different hotel lobbies. Yeah, and if you have no idea what's going on, like me and my son, we just showed up and we're like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? Like, or you have to figure out real quick. All right, we'll go to this hotel, this hotel, this hotel, this hotel. Yeah. Well, so yeah, I'm gonna run. Hey guys, I like the channels that have like a little bit of talking before, okay, but it seems like it's edited, and like I was talking to Aaron not too long ago, I was like, I don't time it very good with the logo. So I thought, all right, well, maybe I'll just do a little conversations beforehand and see how that works out.
And the logo.
It's so pretty cool. So, but Aaron's going to add a little countdown for me. So I don't like, cause the video has such cool things throughout the whole thing. If you really take a minute to look at in the logo, how things are, he did a fucking amazing job.
You had me muted.
Aww. Yeah. So here we go, guys. Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Good.
Hello.
We got full house today. 7 people. 7 people and 6 cameras. Never did that before.
Okay, where is everybody and what time is it?
Go, Aaron.
Michigan, 7:30.
Okay.
Benjamin.
Texas, and it's 6:30.
Robin.
It is also 6:30.
Jonathan.
Somewhere in the UK, and it's 12:30.
Jesus. Jason.
Baltimore, Maryland, and it is 7:30.
Harminder.
Same as John. Somewhere in the UK, a little bit ahead of John.
Oh, come on, let's get specific.
There's no point, is there, Parminder? Because they're just little tiny weird towns.
Yeah, I have no idea geography with England whatsoever. It is just a little island somewhere east.
All of my England geography I have learned, this is so damn sad, from music trivia. So I know most of the train stops and towns from Smith's lyrics, and like I know Clapham Junction from Squeeze, and I know The Cure from Crawley. Yeah. And anything from like Doc Martin or something like that.
And Chipping Norton from Clarkson's Farm.
You're the only one that watches that.
No. Clarkson's Farm is amazing, and I was just going to say I know a lot through Top Gear and watching where they travel.
Yeah, that's another good one. Car SOS and
are there different time zones?
I mean, you're not far from Clarkson, are you?
Yeah, I'm about 30 minutes from Clarkson's Farm.
I'm jealous.
Are there different time zones in England?
No.
Okay, so you're one time zone. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. We have what?
Too many.
Like 3, right?
England has salad cream.
And that's what happens when you get us up early, Chris.
Which really weirds Americans out when they see salad cream for the first time.
Beans and toast is the one thing that
the completely country drinks ranch. Like, come on, guys. Like,
yeah,
it's a dressing. Relax.
John, we've talked about this. The different kinds of foods that you guys have. What was it? Jellied eels.
Yep, jelly. Not that I eat these, but they are here. Jellied eels.
Never had
battered
that.
like pizza, battered Mars bars, which are like
Battered Mars
chocolate.
bars.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Battered what?
Mars
So you
bars.
know,
Chocolate.
the UK is famous for fish and chips, right?
Right.
Right. So that's just fish that's been battered in like hot butter, like it comes out crispy. Like
Yeah.
Deep fried.
they're now in some parts of the UK putting chocolate bars in the deep fat fryer and pizza slices in the deep fat fryer.
We do
Yeah.
that
So
at
it's-
county fairs.
I would think America invented that, like deep fried butter and deep fried everything.
Yeah, everything
Well,
bad that comes to here is from America.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Circling back,
That's obvious.
somebody, I think it might have been, I want to say Wisconsin, at their county fair this year. I saw it on the news. That's how exciting the news day was. They had deep fried ranch. It was just little balls of ranch dressing. They deep fried.
I thought deep fried Oreos were weird. I hadn't heard all these things.
I've never, I think I had a deep fried Oreo. I wanted to get, it's a long running joke with my wife, but we were at a fair like 20 years ago. And we were walking by and I saw deep fried Snickers and I was like, oh my God, I want to try that. She was like, no. And then
Okay,
she's
so-
like, all right, the next time. And we've never seen it since.
Stupid question. Wouldn't the chocolate melt? I mean,
It's a
think-
balance
I think it's
between
too quick.
freezing it and
okay.
They probably freeze it because you can also fry ice cream.
Oh yeah. I always wondered that myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Let's do
it is cool actually. I like that we have all these different time zones. Jason and I are both in the same time zone. I'm 2 hours above you, something like that.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That's
to get to Pittsburgh is 5. To get to Philly is 1.5. King of Prussia is probably 1.5, maybe 2.
Yeah, I've driven to Baltimore. It's taken me about 2 hours.
Well, Chris,
why?
when you drive in the morning, your daily commute to New York is like from me driving to Scotland and back.
Yeah,
It's
pretty much.
crazy.
When I talk to you about vacations, you're like, "Oh, I'm going to Italy. I'm going to where else? Like Scotland and stuff like that." And I'm thinking it's like different countries away from each other, like us. Like we're far from everything else, other than Mexico. But
I think when you described to me once, you said to get to someone's house in the other part of America it was closer for me to come to America.
oh yeah, like if I drive to California, we're talking days of driving.
Like
Yeah.
4, 5.
Yeah, like
'cause
4 days.
We have 4 time zones and then more if you count Hawaii. So
And Alaska. Alaska is up above Canada, so yeah, we're all over the place.
We're too big.
Yeah.
Literally.
Way too big and too many people. But people aren't here to talk about geography, that's for sure. This, as most people know, is the show we're going to go through our Facebook group and show what some of our group members are building. And I'm amazed every week, pretty much, when we do this, at the amount of content that has started piling up in the group. When I first started, it was like, okay, I hope this takes off and I hope it starts working. And now it's gotten to the point where I barely catch all of them. Like there's things that I miss, like from yesterday and the day before, and I'm on my phone a lot. My wife will tell you I'm on the phone a lot. So I can't believe there's things that I even miss. There's so many great posts popping up. And I feel like this is a great show that we can talk about other people's stuff other than our own stuff. Because I get tired of showing my stuff. So, but I've really enjoyed these shows. I think it was your idea, John, right? That came up with this show, right?
Yeah, and it was but then the only thing I think that's awkward about the show sometimes is when we all go deadly silent because we're just looking at the models and we're not actually talking.
Yeah, I get it. And I'm sure most people, when they're looking at the screen, aren't even listening to us when they look at some of these models. And what I also find great is that, I like I said, I think I've said this before. I worry about, I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't want anybody to be really excited about something, and then you're like, oh, that could use this or this or this, and they not take the criticism constructively. But it hasn't been that.
I don't think you have that because
No.
I see. Well, I'm one of the noobs, okay, but the others that I can identify in the group that are like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Here's my first, second, third model. Everybody's just so excited,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's been great, and we need to do these more often. I've only been getting these on like once a month. I think we need to, like, Jason and I started doing every other Tuesday night. And yeah, after hours. We got to make it more spicy. And I'd like to start doing these maybe every other week in the morning, depending on how my new job ends up. So we'll see about that. I'd like to make it more consistent, but that all depends on what happens in the future. Aaron is the new face here. Well, you're all new faces. A lot of you never talked to each other before.
Not live.
This is actually really cool. There's a lot of faces that haven't been on the same screen before, and I love it. It's great. Let's go around the clock here. All right. So let's, Aaron, introduce yourself.
Yeah, Aaron. Chris is one of the people responsible for me spending thousands of dollars on Star Wars collectibles. So been a lurker in the groups for years, and did model making back when I was a kid, and did airbrushing in college, and kind of want to get back into model making and studio scale. So I have many Merlin models on the way, and eventually, hopefully, get back into scratch building like you guys.
All right, and also tell us, like, just like something that you're working on right now. If you're working on stuff, but
probably the next project will be I got a live or a 1-to-1 casting of Jabba's head from a guy named Wes. So
Wes
I'm
Cope?
buddy of mine is he's a programmer, a big tinkerer, and the ultimate goal is we're going to make it animatronic and movable, talkable, recreate the eyelids, have all that stuff move.
Well, Wes is located in an hour north of us, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys have one as well?
No, but I know about it because I like him. I know about Wes because I like him. So.
Yeah. Benjamin and Robin. It's always like Batman and Robin. Like
he tells the nieces and nephews that he's Batman, and they're like, "No, you're not." And so that works. Yeah.
You need to wear a Batman suit next time you come on, Benjamin.
He would want to wear like a Deadpool suit, and then we'd really be in trouble.
That's my personality.
Mm-hmm.
We are getting back into modeling. I used to do armor modeling forever ago, and I've always loved the Star Wars models, and I have a backlog now. I haven't had the time to actually start on them, but I have about 10 model kits now I need to build. Most of them are Bandai's. I have a couple fun ones I haven't even told anybody yet, but I need to start ordering a whole bunch. We have all the equipment, airbrushes. I just have to stock up on Tamiya paint, and that's picking out everything I want is like $200 worth of paint.
Yeah.
So
once we place that order, I'm gonna do just a little Bandai kit of the ATST, and I haven't decided, but I have an obsession lately with World War II tanks, so I'm gonna like pick a tank kit to like practice. I have some color layers, like a plan for one laid out, so I'm gonna try it on.
She wants
like
to
a
practice,
Panzer or something like that.
She wants to practice it on a Panzer because she wants to apply what she's learned to a specific Star Wars vehicle coming up.
I love that Merlin Models gun turret that they're doing. It's beautiful. Like if I wasn't so knee deep in all these other kits that I have planned, I would think about that, but I can't even keep up with what I'm doing right now.
But yeah, I'm in the beginner levels, but I have a bunch of AFV magazines, and I'm just reading them like a storybook, like looking at what other people have done and reading about other builds and kind of taking note of like what is possible versus what you should and should not do.
Yeah.
And things like that. So that's been fun.
Parminder.
I'm Parminder. I like Star Wars.
Enough said.
End of story.
End of story. Listen, I'm a huge fan of the studio scale kind of, history and the models. I'm not a builder myself. I know people are trying to push me to become one, and I would like to start someday.
You will
one
day.
Some Bandai stuff in
one
the
day.
past. Back in the 80s, I did build the NPC models really badly, but no, I'm just a huge fan, and I love all the work that you guys do, and keep doing it. And yeah,
I think there's not too many people on the boards that don't know who you are. Like, you're everywhere. Like, you're one of the most friendly guys I know. Like, you're just friendly with everybody, every single person. Doesn't matter. Jason, wide awake.
I'm Jason. I've been doing this for far too long. And what am I talking about? What I'm working on now, or
yeah, just give a couple. I mean, we're always working on 100 million things, but like,
yeah. I'm finishing up a Hoth, that little defense radome thing for Joseph, and then Lauren asked for one, so I'm like, shit. All right, so now I got to do like 2 and make sure they're both beautiful, which like is pure joy, but also like no pressure. So that's like 80% done. We're driving up to see Mike Salzo on Saturday for the day, and I'm dropping off 3-foot acrylic domes that I've had in my shed for like 15 years for him to make a Death Star 2 for somebody.
Sweet.
Because shipping would be ridiculous. So I'm also dropping off the all the stuff for the training remote and the little stick gun version of the guns on the large Death Star turret, which uses one of those really crazy expensive motorcycles. So it's like a whole bunch of little stuff. Like, it's funny. Mike and I were just literally talking about this yesterday. Like, he was like, is it worth casting the training remote stuff? Like, hasn't everybody done this shit? And I'm like, okay, you and I reflexively think that because like we were there when elves ruled middle, whatever, like we remember everybody doing it and they're done, but there's a lot of new guys. And like I said, I was like, just think about what happened with the TIE bomber. Everybody built a TIE bomber. I built a TIE bomber in 2002. That was like one of my first like serious builds. And so you think like, that's done. But if you've just discovered this, the TIE bomber is like a nice increase in like diligence and scratch building from the probe droid pod, which I always say is like sort of like, my first Sony build. Like, it's like calming and pleasing and not too terrifying. Like, you can wrap your brain around it. You can do a great job. And when you're done, you now have the confidence to tackle something like even crazier.
Yep.
So
that's happening with the TIE bomber, and it's starting to happen with the ATST as well.
Yeah. And I've built a couple. I think I've built 2 ATSTs completely from scratch, and was like, well, I'm done. And then, like, of course, they're not here anymore. And every once in a while, I'm like, I kind of want to build another one, but I didn't have an armature. And I was like, whatever. And then I was talking to Mike Reeder a couple of years ago at Wonderfest, and he does machining. And I said, could you machine something like this? And he's like, yeah. So I think I got him the plans. The plans have been refined over the years. The neck has changed a little bit. So he had moved shop, and his main tool has been repaired. Maybe it's been repaired, and it just hasn't worked its way back to his house. But he should be up and running in the fall, and he's going to do a run of ESB ATST armatures. And I'm like, all right, I guess here I go again.
Well, I was talking to somebody the other day. Was it you, Aaron? Right? It was you. And I said, you were talking about displaying the legs right next to the.
Yeah, I was gonna reach out to Merlin about just having the armature itself separate to display next to the model.
Yeah,
I did that at Wonderfest.
Yeah,
and it was cool looking. It was
2011,
because I think that's the first year Lauren Peterson came. So we all brought our best. We put on our best dresses and brought our best cakes. Or whatever.
Right.
Like, it was like really exciting. And I think maybe I had a finished one, but it might have been. It could have been Quincy's. But there was a spare armature and we put them next to each other. Oh, and then Quincy brought literally a rolling cart with every
picture. Yeah.
And it was like this crazy like tableau where like finished model, the bones, and then all the crap you need to build it. And like people would stare at it and not quite understand. And you'd be like, that's the model, that's the armature, that's what you need to put on the armature. And you could see them just go like, nah, I'm just gonna go build it. Yeah.
John, you keep jumping off on and off. Is everything good with your video?
Yeah. Sorry, I keep getting text messages and people just messaging me while I'm on screen.
Tell them to fuck
like
off.
Mr. Alex Hutchings at the moment.
Tell them to go to hell. Like you got a show to produce to be on here.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. No, I'm good. So I was just listening to Jason.
Apologies.
No. I didn't know it was my turn.
It's your turn.
Hi, my name's John. I'm addicted to styrene, and Chris is my therapist.
More true than most people know. Dude, your sandcrawler is looking great, man. It's
It's only looking great because you've told me how to make it look great.
So, I think you would have figured it out. I mean, how if we didn't decide the black, what would you have gone browns or what?
I would have gone brown. I mean, I figured it out with Tamiya way back, and I thought I'd had it with a witch's brew of different like pots and shades of brown and roof brown and hull red and loads of just crap. And then you just went, no, it's roof brown, mixed with black.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like the majority of the crawl is two colors.
Yep. And I was talking to Jason about it actually, and I was trying all those browns. I was tried to make it brown, and it just didn't. Jason said it looks like poop brown. That's just diarrhea brown.
Yeah, I had that problem with the Macquarie one. I'd be like, it looks like doo-doo.
Yeah,
awesome.
It does. When you put the brown on that big of a piece, it just doesn't work at all. Yeah. Like, it doesn't give you
what other model have we done that with? Like, you can build 99% of Star Wars models and then not ever have to touch roof brown or a brown model or whatever. And then you maybe if you're a shipbuilder and you've done the hulls to ships that are red, and you don't realize how handy black is over red, because black is a color that you very rarely use because it's so harsh, isn't it?
Yeah. And really it was just that one picture, that picture, that shot of the crawler, the back, the non-hero side, where the cone is just all reddish brown, and then it's sprayed black, and then in all the corners, all the weathering, like in the back and in the Panther hull on the side, on hero side, there is literally just black sprayed in the corners. Yeah. Like, all right, I'll try that. What the hell? So
my airbrush started really messing up, and it was sputtering out, and it was just, I was like, do I clean it? But then I was misting the black, and it was like all like horribly dotted, and I was like, hang on, that looks right.
Well, yeah, like the close-up pictures of it, you can see little spots of black. I don't know why I never thought of it, or I don't know if maybe somebody else thought of it before me, but like just looking at the picture now, it's like, duh, stupid. It's right there. Little black dots all over the freaking thing. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah. Now you can never replicate that once you clean your airbrush.
Well,
no, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but you could turn the pressure down and get that little spray pattern as well. But
it's I can't remember who said it, but it's the trying to replicate the haphazardness of the way ILM painted models, and they did it quickly and not in a bad way, but they weren't copying another one all the time. So you trying to replicate that craziness when you're trying to take care of your painting, it's a no-win situation, because you'll never get every spot exactly right.
I think that's where I at some point I was trying to replicate everything, like just making it look as close as possible. And then at some point I'm like, you know what? I'll get the major parts, and then the rest I just do it haphazardly, and that has worked so much better. And for my sanity, even, just not even I can't get every freaking splash or every, I'll just get the major parts and then go from there.
Tom Spina calls it the spirit of the weathering, right? Because he and I have talked about it. Mike and I have had endless conversations about it. It's like, how far do you take it? Like with Red 5, if you're looking at the top of the top wings, there's very, very like signature blast marks going in a line. That easy enough to nail relatively, with a little diligence and brushwork, but like when you're talking about, like you said, something like around the canopy of Blue 1, Red 2, I think, X-Wing, there is like a mottled rust color. And I know Grant McCune had a technique. I don't think he painted that one, where you put down a paint, an enamel, like a float wool or whatever, and then you'd have a mister bottle of solvent, like xylene or something horrific. You know, and he died of cancer. So there's video of him spraying a huge model with this solvent, and it reactivates the paint and moves it around a little bit. You can't ever replicate that truly. You can do that on your piece, and wherever the paint lands is where it lands.
But it's so random.
Yeah. So talking to Tom, like I actually went off the deep end one time and got kind of close using gouache, like watercolor or gouache paint on the model, and sort of watercolored it and then let it dry and then dull coated over it. But that's at this point in my life, I'm like, nah, I'm just
that's just way too much work, especially when you got
weathering is good enough for me, and
especially when you got 100 million projects you want to get to. You know, like you can't spend 5 years.
Sanity, Chris, and that is quite right. You could pull your hair out trying to get every tiny dot and speck right, or you just do you have the feel of the model?
Yeah.
That's what I said. Always tell everybody about your work, John. Okay, so like you get it pretty accurate, but then you add the John Simmons art to it. You know,
that's probably because I can't be bothered to nail every single.
Right. Exactly. Right. That's just an artist at work. You know, I don't want to be a photocopier. I want to be an artist. You know, like I want to make it look good. Like, you know, and I think if you pick the major parts, like I think a lot of people don't understand this because they're trying to get exactly spot on. If you pick the major milestones, what was I telling this to the other day? I don't remember. Somebody was asking me about this. And I said, just pick the major milestones and then just weather it. Like just make it look.
Yeah, if you got the base coat looking right and the colors and tones are looking okay, and then you can't go too wrong after that, can you? Really?
No. But on the other hand, like John, you and I were talking about the back of the Sandcrawler. I really want to get that circular.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's bizarre, and I think I sent a picture to you.
Did you try this?
Do you know, Jason?
What?
That there's the blocks in between the tracks on the Sandcrawler. There's like this circular sand effect that looks like it's had literally probably was wet sand or something flicked up, and then the water's evaporated and left lumps. And
like fish-eyed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Where they filmed it, and I don't know if that's from special edition debris or not. Where they filmed it originally, Gene Kazicki actually found the place. I don't think it's public property. I think it's private property, but it's like a strip mining operation or a mining like thing. I don't know. It's weird, but the reason it looks so good at scale, I think, is because the ground would get wet. It would like run. So that totally makes sense to me conceptually. Like if you put it down on not necessarily muddy sand, silt or whatever, but if it was wet enough that those tracks are flicking debris up and back into those areas. Yeah.
It seems like it's that kind of effect because it's only in the back and on the bottom.
And you could have you replicated that yet? Did we talk about like I
tried. Like Aaron was saying it looks so. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to ask if you tried it because I when I first saw it, it looked like when salt from the road is on your car and the salt dries and you have that ring, and so I told Chris maybe mix some pigment with that and spritz some salt on there, spray it, and then when the pigment dries, you might get that ring.
Yeah, so I was going to say salt water only because I'm thinking of what my car looks like most of the year.
Yeah, I got a little close with some sponging, but like and that'll work on all the rest of it.
Wick itself.
Yeah. Well, on all the rest of it, like the backs and you could do sponging and it works, but it's that one area in between the tracks. Yeah, the mud flap area that I'm just like, I love that freaking look, and I just want it so badly, and I
was
haven't
like,
put it on yet.
I think it was Michael Rinaldi in the armor style of painting. He would flood the tank with enamel thinners and then tap the pigment off the brush like a end of a cigarette, and that would fall like a rain, and then it would absorb, and then the enamel thinners would evaporate, and it would just leave lumps of natural heaps of pigment. That was underneath of a tank though, but there's loads of experiments we could try with doing it that sort of kind of thing.
I used to have a technique, and I haven't done it anymore because I just don't use dull coat anymore, where I would paint the model, weather it with dry pigments, and when I would seal it, I would spray dull coat. And one time I had too heavy a hand and I laid it too thick, and it took that powdered pigment and moved it around a lot like what Grant Kuhn did, and it made a nice variegated marbled look on it. I did it on a Steve Nyson escape pod in like 2001 or no 20, I don't know, mid 2000s, and eventually took it to Wonderfest, and Lauren saw it and he goes, "That's too dark," and I died inside. And it was totally too dark, because I was going by some photo, like there wasn't the reference we have now, certainly, but like it just got too dark. And I think the dull coat might have already yellowed at that point. That's another thing you got to watch out for with some of this shit. But like for years, everybody would say that's too dark whenever I showed anything, and I was like, fuck, why did it?
Well, speaking of too dark, John, like you kept calling me, and you're like, "Is this too dark? Is this too dark? Is this too dark?"
It's terrifying if it's too dark.
Yeah, it's especially when you go
you
with
can
black.
darken things easy, but you can't lighten things easy.
So I said, like even mine, I was just like, I was concerned it was too dark, right? But when you add that white and that yellow, totally changes everything.
Tricks the eye, yeah.
Tricks the eye, and the rest of it looks reddish brown. Like.
But then saying that, I've done my chipping too dark.
Have you?
I've chosen like a grey tone rather
than
a bright white.
It's pretty white.
Because I was thinking that won't be white because it doesn't look white, and it doesn't look white because it's had the mist coats over it and streaking and stuff, which has changed the white.
Yep. The streaking.
But I'm not going back in and going around.
Come on, you have to. You have to go over with a little bit of white.
Did you paint it?
Sorry, Aaron, what was that?
Oh, did you Liquitex the white chipping, or did you hand paint it?
Because it's all hand painted on the original. It's done afterwards. It's topically painted.
Yeah.
With a brush, which is strange for them in that era to do that. I think Joe Johnston painted it and thought, shit, it looks too dark.
Yeah, I think so too.
Something about it. So they got the brush out.
John, have you found this harder than the Slave One as a paint scheme to replicate?
No. I don't know really. The Slave One, I don't know. They're completely different.
It's not the Sandcrawler is not a difficult paint job.
No, it's just the problem with the Sandcrawler is just a big block of brown, and you're like, there's with the Slave One, it's loads of different tones bouncing off each other. It's there's
so many layers in the
chipping.
One. Yeah,
there's no layers in the chipping in the Sandcrawler. It's
surprisingly as weathered and crazy as it looks, it's surprisingly very simple. Like you'd be amazed. It's just really like a reddish brown and black and streaks, and that's it. Like
at one point it looks like the Kenner toy, and you're like, shit. It looks like the Kenner toy. I've spent 6 years and £6,000 on parts, and now I've got a big Kenner toy.
It really does. It looks like the Kenner toy so much when you put that dark reddish brown.
Are you buying the machined parts?
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you getting?
I've sold one of my livers for that, and
yeah, I wrote it back and I was like, I appreciate that you're giving me a good 60 days to get the funds together.
Yes, you need the 60 days.
It's usually like the deadline is 3 days, or the kid gets it. You're like,
I talked to Marvin.
It's your fault as well, Jason, because now I've got to buy a Rebel Transport. I've got to buy the tracks for the crawler. I'm paying someone's do another build for me in laser cut style. It's just everything's come at once, and soon next it'll be ATAT legs, won't it? That'll be the
yeah. We were talking. Yeah,
I just did those AT-AT legs, and I will never spend money to. If I ever do an AT-AT for myself, it's going to be static. It's not for me worth the heartache. Like painting those fuckers was so arduous because you would honestly, it's probably easiest to paint it disassembled, but taking them apart is kind of terrifying when you're not the engineer that wrapped your head around it. Like, and it's not yours. It's, like for a client or whatever. So it was just like, and then once you get the paint on it, you're like, if the tolerance is too weird, it's going to scrape the paint. And then there's a silver, streak where it's scraped off. And some of that's okay. Like on the ankle part, like I noticed some pictures like that happened to the real ones. Cool. But like, I don't want to, no.
Oh, you can see the marks on the real ones, can you?
Yeah. But
I didn't
wrench on, and I don't know if that's from the movie or from years later, but like if I see it in a photo on a real one, then I'm relieved. And I've shown pictures to the client and he's over the moon about it. So it's fine. But like, I'm like, no shit leaves the shop. Like it has to be perfect. Like that's my pride, talking or whatever. But like just moving those legs and then having to like, well, I have bad hands too, but like having to like screw down Allen, bolts and it's just,
the Merlin one was really crazy difficult. The Merlin one was crazy difficult. I can't imagine what the metal ones are going to be like. They're way more parts. And
like, I just, for whatever reason, don't really have like a obsession with the AT-AT like I do something like the Rebel Transport. And maybe it's because like I've done a couple AT-ATs and I'm just, that's out of I've exercised that particular demon or whatever. But like, it was a lot.
I really want to do an ATST though.
Go ahead. What was that, Aaron?
Oh no, sorry, Ben. You go ahead.
No, that's all.
Oh! I was just going to say. I imagine the metal legs are much sturdier than like the Merlin.
Yeah.
Like, or is it still wobbly with the metal?
Well, once they're tightened down, you could sit on it. I mean, yeah, like the metal legs are ridiculously. It's weird. It's so bottom heavy because the one I built, like the guy did the legs and then he lost the love for the hobby and just didn't do the rest. And so my client had purchased those legs and was like, what do we do? And I was like, I guess I could build the rest of the AT-AT. I kind of don't want to. And then Merlin came out with one. He's like, what about this? And I was like, well, it's not turbo accurate, but I know you're like a little okay with that. And there's a couple things I would change, like the guns, especially on the head, were like weirdly oversized for some reason. And that's an easy fix. So I was like, if you want the body and the head to be the Merlin resin and we just don't use the legs, sure. And then it took me like a good 6 months of just thinking, like, what's the best way to graft the legs to the body? Because the Merlin representation of that machined block that the legs all socket into is, of course, a different shape and size.
Yeah, it's way different.
Yeah. So it's metal legs, friction fitting into a resin body. And when you pick it up, you just sort of cradle it on its stomach, essentially. It's fine.
So
Christian, will you do the same? Will you basically do the same? Take the metal armature and take the Merlin body and head, or will you scratch that?
No, I'm gonna scratch that. Well,
can you send me the head after you scratched it, Chris?
Yes, like I did the ATST. There's casts being made and other options. So I haven't really decided whether I'm going to use the cast or whether I'm going to try to build it myself. I just like, even with the transport, like I love the cast shell, but looking at some of the reference, some of the styrene, how it's just so haphazardly cut and still has its lips on it from when you slice it. Like,
are you going to do
that
styrene?
look. I'm thinking in my head I'd like to, but realistically, I probably.
Yeah, I got a little of, like anything, you can't make everybody happy with what they envision in their head for what they want to do. And so a couple people are like, why are you doing this all in resin? And I was like, well, because we worked it out in 3D from original assets, I guess is the easiest thing for me to say. And then I was like, I could literally just send this shell to China, have them grow it, send it back to me, and Mike can mold and cast it, and we're done.
It makes complete sense.
Yeah. And so I said to the one guy was like, I want to do it in styrene. I was like, then do it in styrene. He's like, yeah, but you did all the like, how do I know I got the shape right or whatever? And I was like,
well, I had an idea for that.
And use it as a maquette, like just like nothing's stopping you from like borrowing a buddy's or buy it and then resell it when you're done. Like whatever.
Jason, I had an idea for that even too. Like the only reason I would use the cast, okay, but the only reason is on that reference. I love how you can see that they just cut it, sliced it, snapped it, put it on. They didn't file any of the edges. They didn't do
nuts.
I
know. It's a totally different like
yes.
school of thought on
yes.
the part itself because like there's the unfinished side for the one I build. I'm gonna doll it up a little bit. I'm gonna add some. I'm gonna finish the unfinished side, which I know.
Chris, you're like me with like that. I love all that unfinished roughness, and then Marvin, Marvin sounds like Jason as well. They like have to have things perfect.
Oh yeah, I talked Marvin. Okay, Marvin.
Perfect.
Marvin actually, it bothered him that the Sandcrawler's cockpit was off-centered, like to the point where he added other pieces so that it was centered. That's how much it bothered him. I'm like, Marvin, you've got to change that. Like you have to change.
I know. Well, like Marvin, you've designed this beautiful beast that's just millimeter perfect, and then you've just shoved the cockpit over because you didn't like the way it wasn't symmetrical.
Yeah,
but it's his build, so
it is.
What I did with the X-wing, like I spent thousands of dollars and like enlisted the aid of a legion of people. Like we all banded together and took that production casting and unscrewed it up and made this beautiful pattern, and then I added shit to it like on my build. Like I was like, somebody somewhere is going to be so disappointed that I didn't like leave the thumbprint on the helmet, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, like that's quite funny just to annoy people though sometimes when you've done that.
I know. Well, like there's a history of people like hating on me, which sure. And I've always in the back of my head thinking like, if I take it too far, then they're not going to judge it because now it's like trash to them. Hopefully it takes the target off my back if I make a studio scale model, like
see what you thought, Jason, about something like I'm constantly wondering with the Rebel transport, how I'm going to, I don't really want to go through and measure every chip and every space and all this other stuff. What if you did like Indiana Jones and put a piece of paper over top and like charcoaled it, got exactly where those pieces are located?
I've done that. I've done that on models, real models. Like before I had the X-wing casting in hand, Chris Cassidy, who was in the rotoscope department on the first Star Wars, had a casting of it that he saved out of the trash or whatever. He brought it to one of the gatherings, and this is the first time I had held a Hero X-wing shell in my hand, and I'm like, fuck. I was like, can I take pictures? He's like, do what you want. So ran upstairs, grabbed my friend's calipers, and was measuring everything. And then Craig, like a badass, walks over with like gravestone rubbing paper or whatever, just sort of paper over at me, and he's like, "We're rubbing
graphite paper."
I was like, and we did like Indiana Jones. We did like a little rubbing with paper.
All right, that's gonna work.
Yeah, Gene Kaziggy walked in and he goes, "Smart," and then sort of just walked away. He's just like that.
But that's what I really love about this hobby, though, is it's not one of those, some collections, everybody has the same piece. And it's like, here's the go-to pieces that everybody buys. And they build the same collections with the same main pieces. What's fun about this is even if 2 or 3 or 10 people have the same piece, it all has different bits of character because everyone's either idealization of it or, they make certain concessions or, filing down the snap styrene or leaving it coarse. I think that's fun.
Oh yeah. And with
even our sandcrawlers look way different, don't they, Chris?
Yeah, they're different. Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
It's like a sister city, like there's these 2 sandcrawlers on different continents, like Like there's a connection.
But it's interesting that both have probably strive to be as accurate as possible, you know, to the reference and everything, but still there's going to be substantial differences between them. I think that's a bit of a paradox I find with studio scale modeling, is that everybody tries to get it to be as accurate as possible, but there's still all these differences. So, you know, where are we with accuracy? Are we talking 99.93 versus 99.93%?
It's like I said, you get the major milestones, and then however your eye sees it, you basically, you know. So
well, when the Lucas Museum opens, you can wheel yours in and compare it to the original.
Take the wheel
on display.
Yeah.
Not going to be a lot of swap over. I don't think. I think there's gonna be some disappointed Star Wars fans.
But like the tracks, you were asking me if I was getting the tracks, and they're like, it's honestly like a once in a lifetime thing. Like nobody else is gonna make them afterwards. Like, I mean, how many 40, 50 years and nobody made a set of tracks for that until now.
Yeah,
so,
well, they've been working on it for years. Chris Rice started working on it here and there. I took a half-hearted stab at it, but I'm not technically proficient at engineering. And I knew, and then once I learned that Marvin was like, no, they'll come, just wait. And I was like, cool. I've been waiting on my build. Well, in 2019, we thought we were going to move to Maine real soon. And then the market went nuts. So like there's builds that are on hold for me emotionally until we move north, because like I have everything for a 5-foot Falcon. If I built that in my shop, it literally physically could not leave.
No.
Like there's no room for it. Like I figured if I built the blockade runner, I could stand it up, walk it, like dance with it, walk it out, turn it on its side and go out the side door, which is like, there's a lip just enough for the engines. But I'm like, that's a little dumb. Like, just wait.
Maybe that could be, maybe you could get a higher price for selling your home. That's a selling point, you know?
Yeah.
Millennium Falcon included.
Free blockade runner.
Built in,
like, weird space.
John, yours is sitting primer for how many years? Is it because of the paint, or is it because of the tracks, or a combination of the both?
Because you didn't paint yours.
Yes, but I've only been around for like 2 years now. I started mine last August, actually. 2 years ago, August.
You were the last Sandcrawler sold and the first one finished.
Right.
John, you're going to bring yours to Wonderfest next year and compare them, right?
Yeah, I'm going to have to drive it.
Yeah.
Sit on it and drive it. Yeah.
Do you guys find that there are projects that you start only because now you've got like some weird little missing component that like kicks it in? Like the welding droids from Jedi, which are, you know, like let's be honest, they're a background dopey little thing, but they're kind of cool and fun. And we've done everything at this point. And I know people have done welding droids, but like one of them, and I've got all the parts for them. So I'm like, that would be a fun little like weekend, you know, build or whatever. But one of them uses a biker scout helmet from I think it's quarter scale, go motion, stop motion, like rig. So that's not an asset that any of us have because it was internally generated and somebody grabbed the casting and used it. And I know Prop Store sold one. So right now I'm asking around everybody, like, do you have one of those I could just borrow, like to either scan or cast or whatever? And 90% of the time, these guys are so cool and they love what we do. They're like, yeah, it's fine. Just give it back. So if I can get my hands on a Biker Scout casting out, you know, like a asset, then I'm like, well, now I have to make the welding droid.
Right.
And then the backup for that, now that seed is planted and I like think about it more often than I used to. And so like,
there's the other one. There's the Darth Vader one, isn't there?
The Vader one. Yeah. And I've got the MPZ Vader is easy enough to get. So that's but like,
now wasn't the Biker Scout the Go Motion or whatever? Was that 1/6 scale?
Quarter scale.
I think it's quarter scale.
Quarter. Quarter scale. 1/6 just popped up with Hot Toys.
But Sideshow made, I think, a quarter scale that I think somebody was thinking about molding and casting back in the day and just never did, or maybe they did. And
I'm almost in the camp of like what Lee Ralph did with his. He scratch built his Biker Scout helmet for that. He just scratch built it, and like
I mean that's a completely viable option. I'm just like, if I can get my hands on one, why not?
Well,
Sure.
you just said, sometimes you wait for certain parts to show up or start
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
Not me. I bulldoze. I'm like, Marvin, we got to get these freaking tracks done. They got to get moving. Like, if you're not doing it, I'm doing it. You know, like that's how. If I start a project, I'll bulldoze right through it. Like,
but the thing is, like what you're doing with the Rebel blockade, the transport. Sorry, that's going to be great fun because it's almost like a group build because there's so many people now jumping on it. It's almost like deserves its own page. If one could just share ideas on that like group page, they could just.
I love that it's little components. I freaking love it because I you build a little piece and you build a little piece and you build a little piece, and by the end you have almost all of it done already. And it's not one big daunting project where you have to build the whole entire thing all the way through.
And those
I had no idea there's so many parts in it.
Those little sub assemblies that you're building that like when you're done, those two that I brought to Wonderfest, the two main ones, the whole back deck and the front mount cover. When those are done, that's probably the hardest part. I think the rest of it will be like surprisingly.
Well, I'm looking at all those canisters. I'm like, how the hell are those stacked on top of each other? Like
they're stacked.
They're literally just stacked and glued on top of each other.
And here's the problem with the transport that's going to make a lot of people like go gray. There's like 4 distinct states. There's while it's being built, and there's not a lot of photos of that. There's how it was when it was filmed, and there's not a lot of photos of that. There's how it looked after production, and by that I mean shit was broken off or put on wrong or fell off and just never went back on. And there's an okay amount of photos of it after production because I think that's what was used for like, toy cover boxes and whatever. Like the pictures that Richard usually would take of the models, like for Kenner or whatever advertising. And then, or whoever. I know it was Richard at first, but I think they had somebody else doing it by Empire. But then there's pictures of the way it looks now. And like, that's the one that you can get the most reference on because it still exists. People will take pictures from time to time, but like, what do you model? Which one do you pick? And I'm like Egg Shen in Big Trouble in Little China with the salad bar, talking about religion. It's like, I just pick all the shit I like. And,
where is it sitting now? At the archives?
It is at the moment, like today, still at the archives. I think it was a couple weeks ago anyway, or a month ago.
Because it never went out on tour, did it? On the last tour?
Yeah. It's back. It's either at the archives or it's in LA, but it's probably still at the archives. Everything's getting sort of stabilized, spruced up, or shipped out. Yeah, to the museum. Everything's under museum control now, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's all and the protocols change, and now everything's being treated as like a Roman, like
Greek
vessel.
gods. Yeah. So we've been. This is great talk. I love talking about this.
We haven't showed
for
any
hours.
Stuff.
We have not showed any viewer pictures. and this has been fantastic conversation, and I love this conversation. But the show is actually to highlight the
people.
It's easy to get off track when you're talking about something you just absolutely love and think about all day long.
All I think about all the time. Yeah.
I mean, my wife gets mad at me because she's like, you forget when I tell you to take the trash out, but you don't remember which model kit part goes on the bottom of 100 million other model kit parts, and I'm sorry, it's true. We had this conversation the other day, Aaron. Like, I won't forget this, but I'll forget what my wife said 5 seconds ago.
Our wives are in the same boat. I said, we have a group therapy for us. They need a group therapy for themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
My wife plays the game Expensive or Trash, where she walks in, I hold out my hand, and she puts this little model kit part on it, and she goes, "Expensive or trash?" Because like it'll be on the floor somewhere in the house, and 90% of the time I'm like, that's trash. But every once in a while I'm like,
don't touch that.
I don't know how that got out.
Do not touch that part. Like,
it's
irreplaceable.
I have my Death Star turret looms in the corner. I haven't finished the bottom yet. again, another project for when we move. But like that lowest part is like right at cat head height. And we have two, they're a little over 1 year old now, but when one of them was still very kittenish, she walked up to it and was sniffing it. And I'm like, all right, leave it alone. We were watching TV and I looked over and she was just gently like testing it with her mouth. And I was like, don't eat the model. Fuck. I was like, oh God.
I thought you were going to say she was using it as a scratching post.
They leave it alone. I'm really lucky. Like,
well, we have pictures of Marvin's cat climbing all over his sandcrawler, right, John?
Yeah, there's a panther on top of a panther deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would be a dead cat.
Jason, do all your cats have all their legs?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You're just gonna just throw that out there. Jason, one of my cats is missing its leg, and Chris loves to.
I love it. It's such a great
love the
story.
fact that my cat has only got 3 legs.
Was it born like that, or did it lose it in an accident or something?
It lost it in the war.
I sold one of its legs for a Star Destroyer, for a Death Star turret.
Jason, I don't know if you know the story. We gotta tell the story, John. Come on, we gotta tell the story. So it has to do with that laser cannon, right? And I've been bugging John for I don't know what 6 months or more to sell me your laser cannon, because I was buying a bunch of John's stuff before I started really like getting into building heavily.
That was your
now that he can paint better and build better, he doesn't buy my stuff anymore.
That happens. Yeah.
So he's like, no, I don't think I'm ever selling. I think it was just because you put it together inside and you didn't like it was just for you. It was right. It was you didn't really do a whole like the whole armature inside. It had like a piece of wire piece of pipe propping it up.
Oh, probably,
really, yeah. So I was like, oh, John, I love this thing. I have to own this, right? And he's like, no, I'm not gonna sell it. So one day he calls me up. He's like frantic. He's like, do you still want this? I'm like, hell yeah. He's like, all right, well, I need the money right away. I'm like, okay, I'll get it to you. Next day he calls me. He's like, I said, well, why do you need it like so quickly? You didn't want it before. He's like, oh, my cat got hit by a car and need to amputate its leg.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, John, that's freaking horrible. That's terrible. But send me the model.
It cost him an arm and a leg.
Yeah. It did. And now every time that Chris sends me stuff in the post, this thing arrives.
Oh.
He sent,
brutal. You should make a little C-3PO leg for your cat.
And now, Jason, he's made them small enough they can be used as Greeblies.
Nice.
Yeah, I put Greeblies of that inside the sandcrawler.
Oh.
And John, I don't know if you've heard, he wants to do a shirt with
it's gonna be right
cat paw on it.
Yeah, it's gonna be right here. And the logo on the back and the cat paw right here.
Poor cat. Well, your cat's famous. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
listen,
and it's this big fat cat as well. It's a British short hair, grey, big fucking fat cat, and it has to drag itself around with those 2 front legs.
Listen,
I love that interview with John Cleese. He said, "Is it a proper cat?" I don't know if you've seen that interview.
I love animals. Let's put a disclaimer down at the bottom here. I don't have time to type it up. That ticket tray down here. I love animals more than I like most people. Like my dogs, I just freaking love them. But it's such a damn funny story. To make it go a little further, John was like, he called me and he's like, oh, it's okay, dude. I got the money. I don't need it. I'm like, oh, really? I really wanted the freaking thing. Like, and then a little bit later, he sold it to me anyways. But yeah, so
I have to spend $1,400 either today or tomorrow. I'm hoping today to get a bee nest taken out of my wall, a hornet nest, European.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So my wife has worked from home for over 15 years at this point, I think, and her office is upstairs in the middle bedroom, and she has 2 windows right by her desk. And day before yesterday, noticed a couple bees and was like, "Huh, bees," and they weren't going away. So we went outside and looked, and our house is 100 years old. It has cedar siding that I think is original to the house, and we just saw them like really congregating. Like there's like the windows, and then right above it is a little square vent for the attic, right? And we don't go up in the attic. It's the air conditioner unit is up there, retrofitted. There's probably a trunk full of Nazi gold that we don't even know about, for all I know. but there's no real way to get up there. So I'm thinking like, oh God, they're going to build a nest, aren't they? And we didn't see them going in. And then by the end of the day, we saw them going into the cedar siding. And I'm like, they're either going in the attic or they're going into the wall. You can't quite tell. And they're big. They're like as big as your thumb. And so she seeked them. It's this app for your phone where you can like point it at an insect or plant. It'll tell you what it is. And she's like, European hornet. And we looked it up, and like they're not aggressive to humans unless they're threatened, whatever. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to call the exterminator. So he comes out yesterday, and he's like, all right, that's above 25 feet. So because of OSHA, we have to rent a lift. So that's why it's so expensive. But
Oh,
like,
God.
That's
they're building
how many
these like
Panthers did we say? 12?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that's like 11 Panther Gs. Like, damn it. Like I was thinking in model kit terms. And it's not like it, we have the money, so it's fine, but it's just like insulting. The funniest part about all of this, and I'm like waiting with bated breath for them to call and tell me when they're coming, hopefully today, because I just want the bees gone from my fucking house. Because they're the kind that they have facial recognition and their stingers aren't barbed, so they can sting you repeatedly if they feel threatened.
Fun.
Oh,
So,
brilliant.
all right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So
he's looking at it. He goes, huh, it's weird. Okay, there's a queen in there, definitely, at this point. They're probably overwintering. So they're building a hive in your wall. That's not in the attic, that's in the wall. And yeah, that's weird, though, because they usually pick old dead trees. And he's looking at my house, and he's like, I think they mistook your house for an old dead tree. And I was like, should I feel insulted or flattered? I was like, fuck, man. This house that keeps on giving.
I have a question for the group. Okay. Wonderfest next year. Realistically, how many of you are coming? I know I am.
So.
We're already booked.
Okay, you're definitely booked.
I'm booked.
Aaron, we talked about it, Aaron.
Yeah, that I'm planning on it. We'll see.
Where are you? You said Michigan?
Yeah.
It's probably 8 hours for you, ish.
Yeah, I think 6 or 7 actually. I think we
really is that far?
Before.
It's a genteel drive.
I drove 10.
It's 10 for
day.
us. Yeah.
It's 10 hours from me to Chris, basically. I think.
Yeah.
We're fortunate from Dallas. The flight was really cheap, so we just flew.
Yeah, Louisville's not a hub, so
No.
it's nice that usually people have to transfer somewhere.
Well, but Dallas is good for us, so we had a straight through. So
Dallas
really
is perfect to fly out of, right?
Yeah.
But next year, like Benjamin and Robin, are you gonna bring a piece to like
we did not check a bag when we came in June. We went like super light, or we thought we were. We each had like a carry-on only. We didn't bring it. We brought your little model, but we put it in something and like kept it with us.
I did my carry-on. I brought a model last time. But
we are checking like probably like a Pelican or something and patting the crap out of it. I'm scared though, because whatever I picked to bring as my first model, I'm gonna like bubble wrap it and have it in my lap. So
are you doing the Back to the Future thing, or
I'm doing that, and that's the thing is I'm doing that. I just haven't had a chance to start it yet. I've been doing some different stuff for work. And I work for myself, so that makes it harder. It's not like I come home from a 9 to 5 and I have my time off. It's
I'm not adding to the table. I'm not quite ready to do that sort of thing, but I will bring something for the first time. And I'll either put it in the contest or whatever if it's something cool. But I'll bring something to show. You guys in the room or whatever. Like I'll bring something.
I'll never enter another thing in the contest line ever again.
I'm sending you loads of stuff to put in, Chris.
No, John.
That loads of stuff will go in my collection this time.
John, Chris and I were teasing last time because we were talking about you not going, and I told him that you wanted to have your stuff in an American competition. I said, "Well, tell John if he doesn't come next year, I'm going to bring some plaque that says made by John Simmons, and I'm going to enter some really horrible looking
kindergarten
models.
Crap, like
probably better than mine.
and put your name next to him if you don't come.
Luckily, that won't happen because I won't allow it. But
John is
he's
coming.
Been talking about it.
John's coming whether I have to fly over there and bring him back myself.
Yeah.
Well, Paminda, do you want to come with me? We're going together.
Should we travel first class?
Oh yeah.
Come, Parminder. Come.
You're gonna.
I'd love to.
Right?
I haven't planned anything, but I'd love to. I don't know. I'll have to look into it really.
You remember how great it was hanging out with people at Celebration? Like that was the highlight of Celebration. There was the show.
For sure. Yeah.
The highlight was was sitting in the bar of the hotel with John going like this.
Is that when I bought 2 bottles of champagne for the group? Yeah.
Oh, you and then Rob seeing the picture and frowning at, but like just sitting in. That's how this is. It's just a bunch of great people sitting around talking, having a good time. The con as a whole, just I didn't even go in that. I went in the
dealer room
showroom once. Like I did a once around, and that was it. Like the whole time I spent.
I want to spend more time.
Yeah,
next time.
I need to go. I can't have Chris talking about my studio scale modeling heroes and not me meeting them.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Bill's, I think he already has his room, so Bill George is definitely going to be there. You
Oh,
never
he's
know
a
who
gem.
shows up. Tested's coming back. Fawn might come back. He said he had a great time. It really is it's less of a convention and more of just like a model nerd hangout therapy, like bacchanal. Like it's like there's guys that go that clearly are like in their day-to-day life are not allowed to smoke their cigars and drink their bourbon and eat their barbecue, and they overindulge. Like you can tell those guys that are just like, yep, I'm eating a turkey sandwich, and they've got like a giant like deep fried turkey leg or whatever, and they're like, like, so it's like everybody kind of lets loose a little bit.
That'd be
and
me.
the
Yeah.
morning
I'll be honest, Jason. Okay, so when I was coming there, I honestly pretty much only knew you and Joseph and Benjamin and Robin, right? Like,
and we barely knew each other.
We barely knew each other. We just through texting.
Yeah.
And it was kind of daunting to me, thinking, all right, I'm not gonna know anybody. Am I just gonna be? It's scary.
Absolutely.
You know, with Celebration, I went and hung out with a bunch of people I already knew. Okay, going to Wonderfest, I met so many incredible, talented people that I would have never met in my entire life had I not gone there.
Yeah,
and now I'm on first name basis with them. You know what I mean? Like it's
you also had a fantastic icebreaker in the behemoth that you brought, to meet people.
Yeah, that's quite a thing to slap down on the table and be like, hey, something I'm working on the weekend, kind of thing. It's like, holy shit. Yeah.
It was a little strange, people coming up to me talking to me about it, like, because it's in my garage. I see it every day. It's part of the furniture,
And you're thrown right into it because everybody came right up to your room, so that was your introduction to everyone, was coming up to just
George up in my room and then talking to me about John Simmons's piece and signing it.
And I think your guys' introduction to me was, I've been on the road for 10 hours. It's 4 p.m. and my room's not ready. So I'm just sitting there in the lobby like, what the fuck? Like I was like trying to process that I can't pee or like wash my face. like, like what is going on? Check-in's at 3. And you guys are like, hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm like, it's great to meet you too. Hang on just a second. I'm at.
Get the man a drink. Yeah.
Well, we'll get there again. We flew in, I think, a day before you did last year.
Yeah,
last time. But if that happens again, if you need to put some stuff up in our room or something, we can always do that for you.
Well, it was, I drove down there, not knowing anybody, and I'm like, all right, well, how do I find all these people? I'm just like, and then I get out of my car, I start walking to the hotel, and everybody just is there. They're all just like
hanging out, like,
yeah. Hi, Jason. Finally, nice to meet you. Hi, this and hi, this person. And I knew who they were. They had no idea who I was. So.
I cannot remember the actual year, the first year I went. I think, for all I know, I've been going for 20 years. That milestone is either here or is coming up. Like, it's been a really long time. And like, I've watched everybody go gray and get like melt like a candle. Like, we're all getting old and it's weird. But like that first year, and I don't remember exactly how I found it, but I went. And one of the first people I talked to is Jeff Wilkowski. And I'm like, oh, you're JT Graphics. I buy your decals. Where do you live? And he's like, Dundalk, Maryland. And I'm like, cool. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. And he's like, so we both just drove 10 hours by ourselves to get here. And it was such a lonely drive. Yeah. And so I started carpooling with him the next year. So if you carpool with somebody, like the show starts the morning that you leave.
John is flying over to me.
That's
and
perfect.
we're going to road trip it, right, John?
Perfect.
Yep, that's the plan.
That's
and,
the plan.
And it's only a 4.5 hour drive for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
All right, we do need to get to some of these pictures.
That's
Love
freaking gorgeous.
love it.
Fucking love this. This
The
is
color choices are so
incredible.
good.
I
Yeah.
love the reds so much.
Oh
Yeah.
Ollie, man,
Ollie's on fire. Honestly.
So is Ollie like? What is his background and how long has he been doing this? Like,
dude,
he's a figure painter.
Okay.
He's a military modeler, so he does like tank
Perfect.
and stuff.
Perfect.
John.
Sorry, Chris, go on.
He sent me pictures. He's a fucking Top Gun Maverick. Do you know
Yes,
that?
he is. Yeah, he is.
Flew,
yeah.
He flies jet fighters, or
Wow.
he did. He sent me. I made this Top Gun reference to him. He's like, "Oh, I love Top Gun." He sends me a picture of him and 3 other guys standing in front of this jet plane on a battleship, and I'm like, "That's so fucking cool!" Like,
He's such a nice guy. He's been here to my shop and dropped off. I'm doing a model for him, and I'm like, "Why am I doing this model for you?" Like now it's put extra pressure on me that he could have done it twice as good as me.
He's got the stash. What is it? The guy, the co-pilot stash, the one that died. I don't remember his name. Goose. Yeah, he's got the Goose stash and everything. This is just.
So he's there in the UK.
Yeah, he's in the UK. Yeah.
I love
OB2.
I can see the military.
He's modulated all the colors. He's like sun bleached them or whatever. It just looks.
Yeah,
lovely.
I can see the military modeler influence and the figure painter influence.
Yeah.
This exactness that ILM doesn't do, but it works so well.
Yeah. But I think he's literally just got like a couple of 232s or 332s. I can't remember the name of them, and just shaking them all out on his table and just made that. And it's like, what?
Handbag, yeah.
Go back to that first photo of the full cockpit.
This.
Well, up at the paint at the top of that angled piece, the chipping he had,
Oh, that chip is
beautiful. From the green to the gray to like the raw metal. That's perfect.
It reminds me of like almost like a video game rendering or something. It's got that sort of liveliness to it.
Like was it Dodge neon cars that had the water-based paint in the 90s, and like after 3 years everybody's hood looked like that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You remember that? Like
I do.
A 3 to 5 year window where they were using earth-friendly paints on cars, and it just did not last.
Yeah. I every time I see this, man, I'm like, oh my God. And it actually made me think about like ArchiveX does contests, and like I think we should next year or some point soon do like a pod racer contest.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
For the challenge at Wonderfest. Yeah, there's been a couple ideas that get thrown out, and then so the idea to use the same base model really worked well with the shuttle, so we wanted to do that again. Yeah,
I love your X-wing idea we talked about the other day. I'm wholeheartedly behind that because I want to wear bell bottoms and take a picture with all the X-wings.
Yeah, do you guys know about this? All right, so we've already planned the display for 2027.
Okay.
The 50th for Star Wars. So we've always wanted to recreate that model shop picture from the Topps card where it's like sort of slightly from above and it's all the modelers standing behind that table with all the X-wings, standing. And so we know Sean House owns that chair. It went from Van Nuys to Kerner to 3210 to his property. So we know the make and model of the chair. Hiroshi's identified everything. The table's easy enough to build. It's just slab wood. The wall with all those little photographs on it, that famous Buildston board. We have scans of all of that. The original those were all taken down and saved, and then we got a hold of it and cataloged it. So we can replicate that little tableau pretty close. And I was like, okay, we set that up for a selfie station kind of thing. And then everybody brings an X-wing. We all assign ourselves a particular model, and we just put all our models, on their engines, and we recreate that thing as that year's display. So
I love that these have weird angles, and there's not just a torpedo like Anakin's pods.
Yeah.
Like I love that it has these wings and these.
It's very pod racy because it looks,
so
it looks
haphazard,
intuitive, but it's still within the idea of the mechanics of a pod racer engine.
Oh, it's so gorgeous.
I think he did copy a concept
drawing. Picture. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh wow.
Cool. Yeah, this is that's like Depa or something like that. I forget the guy's the character's name, but it is from I don't know. It would take too long to find it. And like we've always said, like these just keep coming back around, like these escape pod probe droid pods. Like they just somebody's making these now, and then they'll make the other one, and they'll make an ATST. Like it's so cool that the group is just starting to jump into all these studio scale. It's like a I don't know, like a beginning
gateway drug.
Yeah. So and this is this was John Twin Sons. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing all this finished. This will be cool.
But again, I think quite a lot of people helped him out with parts as well, which is really cool.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Like there's guys who are like swapping parts, and I love seeing that. Like that was John. I don't know if you remember. I made a group of us to.
You did.
I thought, all right,
yeah,
just this closed off group where it was a bunch of people, and I was like, all right, this is a great place for people to share IDs and swap parts, and it was silent. Like it was just there's just nothing going on. But now in Nerf Herders,
I think with this though, people get to share their work, they get to share their photos, they get to just talk. I mean, I think it was Brett that was just talking. I think being 28 years sober on there the other day. Not necessarily about models, but they were just hanging out, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Like those are the kind. You didn't watch the After Dark with us, the last one?
I watched up till like there was 10 minutes left or something, I think.
Okay, this is Brian Babbage's you can explain it better than I can, Jason, right?
Yeah, the Hoth planetary radome thing.
Yes, I do remember now. Yes.
He decided to go down with the detailing, so all this mechanics will be like under the ice, which is such a good idea. I'm stealing that, He's like,
yeah, because I saw that Y-wing engine. It's got like the Panther parts in it, like the Y-wing engine has, and it was like,
yeah.
What am I missing
there's
here?
Panther piece right here.
Yeah.
This is gonna be so cool. I can't wait to see this finished.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Let's see.
There's quite a few of these being completed.
Oh, that's turned out beautifully.
Yeah,
this has turned out so good.
And the lighting that he accomplished with this is perfect.
Oh, that photography, gorgeous.
That was one of my favorite episodes of Andor.
Yeah.
This
is I know there's like 16 of them out there, and I think only 3 people have finished 1, 3.
That's not bad.
No. Yeah. I thought there might have been more had I had time to finish, like work on mine, and John had time to work on his. You got one, John, right?
Yeah, it's just up there next to me. But we will get back onto it.
We will, and it'll come back around, and more people will jump back on and do it. But this is beautiful. This is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And his bridge is just is unique, but the lines just really work with the model itself.
Very Cantwell.
Yes. I love how spiky his cockpit, the Cantwell cockpit is. That's what I like about it. And it's not overly done. Like there's not a whole lot of extra parts on it. It's very sleek and very simplistic and very Star Destroyer-ish. You know what I mean? Like
if you put too much into it, though, if you put too much on, it can kind of take away the scale of it, can't it?
Yes.
So you've got to get that balance.
I love this, Todd. You did a freaking incredible job on this.
Yeah.
And Hacker actually built a second Star Destroyer to go with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
His pictures are right. Amazing.
Yeah, it's hilarious, isn't it?
Steven Hacker is a master builder. Like
He's the man. Yeah.
Oh my god. And he doesn't do recreations. He does complete one off of his zone. Like everything is just like original.
Yeah.
But man, I love this Todd. You did a fantastic job on this. Honestly. He made that really, really good probe joy too. The one with the skirts and the
Oh yeah, Todd's a fantastic modeler.
He's a great builder. Felix is building R2.
Yeah, his 232 leg conversion thing is inspired. I think, like, doesn't he have a different approach to how the leg comes down than other people do?
I don't know.
Probably. Felix is like a mad scientist, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. Yeah,
yeah. We still want to do a astromech in the future.
This is a life size. In the one,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. In the one angle, it looks a little smaller, but it's not. When you compare it to the BB-8, he also did the BB-8 too. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah,
and that works. The head rolls. It's like magnetic. It's man, Felix is brilliant.
Yeah.
And Scott finished his TIE bomber. I think did he say he had more to paint on it, or?
I think there's some later pictures, isn't there, of it finished? Because that's not finished there. It's still got there.
Yeah. I think he did do it. I think he did finish it later.
Well, that's 11 hours ago.
There's two people working on a bomber at the moment, though, isn't there? And they're quite similar states, so I can't get confused. Masking those out isn't fun.
No, but he did it the right way. He did it black and then mask it and then paint the blue.
Yeah, that's a hard lesson to learn the first time you do one of those.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Somebody asked me, like, how would you break down model making? And I was like, 90% masking tape, 2% paint, and the rest is bathroom breaks. Like, I feel like I'm forever masking something to go and then pull up all the tape.
Jason, I wrote you yesterday, right? My working bed on my laser cutter is 21.1 inches.
Yeah.
And this piece on the transport is 21.8 inches. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Like,
yeah, that's close.
And then cut that front bit off. That won't matter.
I just cut mine in two pieces and grafted it together. I know people with longer beds, but mine's only 12 by 16, and I was just like, I did it initially thinking this was like a test.
I offered to help for Chris, but he wants to cut it himself.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you've got a 12 by 24.
No, 18 by 24.
18 by 24.
Yeah.
I don't know why it didn't dawn on me. I mean, because I haven't really done any laser cutting. It didn't dawn on me to cut this and do it in two pieces. Like I was like, oh, duh, stupid. Like,
well, it's extra work. I mean, streamline to contend with. It gets mostly hidden by parts, so it's not horrible.
Here's the other TIE bomber. This is Charles Anderson. He's working on his. He made a template to do the.
Yeah. Draw twice, cut once. Scribe one.
So how would he transfer that over? Would he just like? I don't understand.
You could just score it with an X-Acto and then
or even just the corners.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you could basically use a pin, I would assume, and just put a dot through the paper and then just line it up.
Yeah, good idea.
Describe it. That's how I would.
I don't know anybody that likes scribing.
No, I was just about to say that's the area that put me off the bomber for a long time.
Yeah. Oof, it sucks.
I'm not looking forward to doing the slave one. Jesus Christ.
With my hands, man, like I think about model projects in terms of like that. That's why pivoting to 3D like pieces has been a godsend for me, because there's certain stuff I'm like, that's a hand killer. That's a hand killer.
How do you find the airbrush?
How did I find the airbrush? What do you mean?
With your hand.
The trigger one is a little kinder than the traditional. I I usually don't airbrush for more than like an half hour to an hour at the time anymore. I see the problem is I used to do this like 8 hours a day, which caught up with me eventually. And also like genetics with just like the arthritis and stuff. But like this finger will get angry if I airbrush too much. I plan certain things. Like if I'm doing a lot of like I'm painting a bunch of little droids, I'll do that first thing in the morning before I've done manual labor that like sort of like takes the dexterity out. So I just have changed the way I work. And ironically, the printer and just the different method, I feel like I'm more efficient and faster now, which is weird.
Yeah.
Who makes this kit? Is that a
this is a 3D print. I'm pretty sure Phil usually does 3D prints.
Because
I'm looking at this.
Y-wing.
It looks
it's one of Marcel's, isn't it?
It looks pretty damn good. Like I don't like. There's not a lot of print lines to there's that looks pretty decent actually. Really clean.
Imagine seeing that 10 years ago, Jason.
Oh, I would have crapped my pants. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a different world. Mike and I are going to be kicking off the repattern of the Y-wing at some point. I've got all the parts. More importantly,
because I've got Frank's, so I was really interested to see what you were going to do with.
Yeah, well, like having half of the master pattern and then what Frank passed from Dave, like just all of that data. I'm like, how can I not like redo it knowing that we've got all that stuff now? Because if you hold Frank's up to like the fan, like a Steve Nyson traditional kit casting, you can see like where the facets are they're just different. Which you wouldn't necessarily expect because the thing's encrusted in parts, but it's just that's the magic of handmade stuff, right? So
I didn't know what to do with mine. I didn't know whether to like just have mine primer it, clean it all up, and just leave it in parts on like a photo frame kind of look.
I was thinking about that with the Frank one. Yeah, like making like a little museum like shadow box kind of thing,
and then build one from whatever you guys decide.
What we plan to do is make the buck, essentially remake what they made in wood but out of like resin, and then put all the kit parts on that makes sense. Like I'm going to work with Mike and go like, what should be left off for mold purposes, longevity, and then everything else will be separate castings. And from that, you could make any of the Y-wings. Like basically,
that's my bag, baby. I love that idea.
That's like
doing all of them, Chris.
I'm gonna do all of them.
You're off.
I'm gonna do them every one of them.
I want to do every one of them. I want to do every X-wing, and then I'm like, I'm 50. I'll be 51 in a couple weeks, and I'm like, I gotta start getting this stuff made.
I don't know if I want to do every X-wing. I'll do like couple of like maybe 2 or maybe 3, probably only 2. But Y-wings, I would do every one of them for some reason.
Yeah.
This is this here, right here. Like I love this about the group. I really do. I love this in the group.
Yeah.
And Brett is a major contributor to the goodwill that goes on in this group. And he does it behind the scenes too. Like everybody's like, oh, thanks Brett so much for this. And thanks Brett for so much of that. And you don't see it, but like you don't see it happening on the group, but it happens in the background, and Brett is a huge.
We got to get him to Winterfest.
He should come to one. I don't know where he's located.
Yeah.
But we should get him to come. He's been incredible on the group. I really appreciate all of his efforts towards our group.
His enthusiasm, I think he'd be over the moon at that show.
Oh God, yes. This like ATST. I think we're gonna see a bunch of people starting to build that in the group. I really do.
Yeah, I'm cheating. I think I might do the head as a print.
Okay. John, tell him what happened.
Oh, did you try that?
John,
what's that? Sorry.
Tell him about your print head, ATST print head.
I was going to use it. I couldn't see anything wrong with it. And Chris was like, John, that looks like dog shit. And I was like, okay.
Throw it out.
And he literally sat there for a day in his workshop, cutting out styrene, smoothing it all out, bending it out, and then this lovely little package came in the post with a cat's paw, obviously, and a brand new styrene head for the chicken walker. So I was like, oh, nice.
I'm like, you are not using a 3D printed head for that. I'm sorry,
because I had the metal armature and everything. It was like, you're not putting a 3D printed head.
Okay, the 3D printed head you had was a little shaped funny. Like it was.
We're not saying anything against 3D printing. It was just what I had wasn't.
Yeah, it's what you had, and it wasn't. I didn't like the shape of it, so I was like, yeah, you got to do this. Here we go with Hacker. Man, does he have like endless supply of?
I think he works for D'Agostini.
He must have, because he has like 10 of these, and I need to find one so I could do my solo Falcon.
Well, yeah, just look at the bins in the back.
I see he's got some Cydio crates in the background too.
I know, like this is like what, the fourth D'Agostini he's retrofitting.
Oh, at least.
And what is he doing with this one? He's replacing all the? Is he replacing all the parts, or is this one going to be?
He's doing something that was in a fictional.
Yeah,
oh, it's a Stellar Envoy, isn't it, from episode 1?
Yeah.
Oh, the one like the
blue,
the blue one.
Yeah,
but he's done the blue one before.
Has he?
So this might be a V2. I don't know.
Where is he putting all these D'Agostini Falcons? I have one, and I don't know what to freaking do with it. Like,
well, he's got like a basement the size of yours, Chris, as a workshop. I think, like,
with just D'Agostini Falcons.
Maybe.
Yeah. Carter is building the pontoon boat. He's adding a bunch
nice. This is looking really nice.
Bunch of cool things onto it.
Carter, from what I've seen from him, seems to be a phenomenal model maker.
Yeah, he just started. Like Jason, he brought
Carter
that.
did the Y-wing, right?
Yeah,
at Wonderfest.
At Wonderfest. Yeah, triangles.
Yep, triangles.
Yeah, that looked lovely.
Yeah,
looks great, Carter.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what you're planning on painting it. What colors? John's. Let's see John's. There we go.
I'll skip past that.
Well, we've seen enough of mine. I got to show you.
We've seen enough. They're just the same.
How gray that white is. Oh,
I was going to say it, but
yeah, that chipping.
It looks
chipping,
great.
man. It's so blended in and mist. The funny thing is, these little chips up here are gray. There's little chips of gray up here.
There's little grays in there.
Yeah, but the rest of this is white.
A beautiful model.
I'm not going over them, Chris.
Yes, you are. You'll do it. You'll do it.
Oh, I hate you. How many times do I say I hate you on the
some
phone?
white paint and a cat paw.
You're gonna bring it to Wonderfest, and that's what he's gonna make you do in the hotel room.
I'm sitting there, missing out on all the fun. So I'm sitting there with a little paintbrush.
Yeah,
you're gonna see mine.
Everybody to come up and say, "Shouldn't that be white? Shouldn't that be white?"
You're gonna see mine, and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, it should be white." Yeah.
Is everybody staying at the hotel, or are you guys like? I know Ben, you and Robin went.
I am
to the other hotel last time.
No, we were at the same hotel.
You were at the same hotel. Who was?
Yeah, we're even getting the same room.
Really?
Right up the back stairway for our exhibit room. We were the first room in the right. I'm like, absolutely, I'm doing that again.
If they let us do that.
I was the first floor, right around that corner. Like that's the sweet spot for like loading and unloading, because all you got to do is come around the corner, and you're at those double doors.
Well, I loved it because we just went out the back room of what's our exhibit room called? I forget which.
B room.
Yeah, the B room.
Okay, so I just went out the back door of B and just go right up the stairs and turn right, and our room is there.
Our room had an outside door where people were out like partying.
Oh yeah, you were on that side. That's dangerous. Yeah. I've had some sleepless nights. Like
it didn't matter for us.
Party shared like balcony thing. Yeah,
we weren't in the middle of it. We were on the we were the last room, so it's not like we're in the middle of all that.
I was surprised though that they don't go to bed; they just stay all night out.
I know, it's wild.
It's like, John, did you find that part that you were missing?
Oh, Graham sent it to me. So
okay, cool.
Thank you, dude, for that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's not in any other Nichimo kit.
It's annoying as well because I haven't cut the panel and left enough space for it. So I think I'm just
Yeah.
going to sand the kit part down to make it look like it's sitting in there flush.
Flat.
Yeah.
So this is a weird thing. I just like people
boob gun.
were a little when I put this up, they thought I guess somebody has made one recently. And they asked me if it was Dream Scale, I think it was.
Oh,
And I'm like, no.
Sergio's making a run of them, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, this is the masterpiece model ones that Jason had made and then sent to them. But this I actually sold to Steve on who's he has that new channel, Ancient Weapons and Hokey Religions and Ancient Weapons.
Yeah.
I sold it to him, and then he wanted me to build an AT-AT for him, and I actually built this for myself because I loved it so much, and I ended up needing the money. Instead of selling my body, I sold this, and I wanted to build another one, but I'm like, I don't really want to buy another one and paint it. I absolutely fucking hated building the snow part, like the putting all this snow on here.
I was going to say how good that looks.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it turned out good.
Perfect.
It was a bitch to do.
What did you use for the rock?
That's a molded cast piece that Merlin Masterpiece Models made.
Oh, I didn't know it came with that. Okay.
I made the base, and then I think John modified it before he cast it to make it a little friendlier. Right. I think mine was too big.
This is big.
Yeah, but you should have seen it when I sent it to him.
Oh, really? Did you have the whole cliff wall and everything?
Not quite, but it was more ostentatious. He's like, "Do you mind if I hack this to bits?" I was like, "Yeah, knock yourself out."
So what I did was I was going to make the Merlin Models AT-AT for him, and he was going to pay me to do it. I'm like, you know what? Why don't we make a trade? I want that back. So
nice.
I got it back. And Jason, do I need to cut this?
That shot there looks gorgeous. Look at that. Yeah. The discoloration of the panels is lovely.
I use some beige oil paints and some white oils. I've never worked with oils before, and Jason's video with that, what was that, Starship Filth? I got that too and used that on this.
That's a nice
I've literally been using that on the crawler for my fine black streaks, really thin lines.
Yeah,
it's a cool color. Do I need is my cannon's too long, right?
Okay, so when I made that pattern, I made that locating hole for the sleeve and for the gun to sock it onto.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was that's there if that you want it like completely fully extended, but in the film both of them move around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you could probably shave a little bit off that barrel and still look fine. You really have to watch the movie. I don't know if it even extends quite that far at all in the film.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to give everybody as much wiggle room as possible. And I thought maybe people will shave it down and sort of socket it in, or they'll cut it out and slide it. And everybody just glues it to the top. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, mine's just pressure fitted in.
Yeah, mine, I'm still waiting. I've got a mechanism that my friend Josh made that does I was like, can we get the double recoil? So the barrel hits and then the sleeve hits and they're independent of each other and they're doing that. But then the whole assembly also needs to recede into the ball so those pedals can move. And he was like, yeah, because he's a CAD engineer. And so he liked the idea of the challenge and he got it to work. So I've been waiting to finish mine until I can have the whole thing do ridiculous shit. And he's like, I'll Arduino program it. So you push a button and it comes out and it does 3 blasts and then it goes back to sleep. And I was just like, that would be the coolest thing ever.
I saw that you had said that, that I think it was one of your posts. You said that something about you actually cut it shorter than most people left it long. And I'm like, oh, did I not cut that? And in all honesty, I like it as engorged as it is. So
it's
I like it
looks great.
Yeah,
I think honestly in the movie, I think both of them are a little further down into the hole. But whatever.
But now that it's all together, I'm like, oh, do I want to try cutting that? I'm like, no, I really don't. So it's staying fully erect like this. So
Yeah.
That's tough to say for us, man.
yes, no, not for me. I'm good. So
His boob gun was fully erect.
My full boob gun. Okay, so this was.
I'm working on decals for that thing. It's not going to be ready by the time.
I'll be done with this weekend.
Is that for Joseph?
Yeah, this is for Joseph. I put this together in one day, an afternoon. I've done 3 of them now. They're so easy to build.
That's the last kit, right?
Lassie, yes, yeah. Great kit. John at Twin Sons finished. I think he's done a couple of these slave ones already. This is.
But you don't realize how small they are. That's like 187, isn't it?
Yeah, it's small.
And to get that paint job going on a small kit like that, that's commendable.
It's really nice, Joe.
God, I want to do a slave one. I've been wanting to do a slave one for a long time.
Well, I think Andy's jumping on one right now. He put out a picture of a bunch of parts. I keep saying I'm going to start mine soon.
The Hoth tank you guys did. I've been wanting to do a Hoth tank for a while. I picked a different one, and I didn't like where it went. And there's like 3 or 4 of them that Joe Johnson drew that got out there that we all are kind of familiar with. Is your tank radio controlled?
Yes.
Okay, so you can run it around and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Mine isn't.
What were you gonna ask, Jason?
What tank did you just like pick like a Chinese tank or something?
Yeah,
Hang Long. Yeah. Originally, Andy had done. What did he do? He did some toy.
He had the toy.
It was a toy, and I wasn't really happy with. Like it wasn't. It sat lower, and it was kind of wonky. Yeah. And then I was like, "Can we do it with a Henlong?" And he altered some of the parts and made it elongated a little bit so it would go over to the. And yeah, it's fully RC. It's
so funny. I should show you what I'm working on because like I essentially am doing something very similar, but with one of the different ones. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring that thing. I did bring that.
Bring it because I want to finish. I want to do mine and bring mine, and we can have.
Yeah,
we can race.
Bring mine. Yeah, I'll bring them. I'll bring it. Nice. I did bring it last time. I never brought it down. Wasn't it in my room? Yeah. Oh. Yeah, was it in my room, Benjamin?
Yeah, it was in your room.
With
the tank treads.
The tank treads. Yeah.
I forget what was that from one of the prequels.
No,
era?
It was a concept.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go. Loved it. This is just
these little things. They look like models of their own. They look awesome. They look like little droids, like probe droids or something flying around. They look menacing.
So fun. Honestly.
I need to jump on that soon, Chris. You can't keep going ahead of me, Chris, and getting all these cool projects going.
And you're building
behind your weight.
You're building yours and Joseph's, right?
Yes, I'm building 2. Yep.
Yeah. Smart.
Yep.
Well, doing them at the same time is a lot easier than doing it than trying to remember what you did.
Right. Exactly. That's what I always do with most models that I do. Well, I got to talk to you, John, later about. I got to send you a couple more parts for that. So
okay, cool.
Talk about that then. Let's see what else we got here. We really didn't. Oh, Phil's Chris Greer's Death Star.
That paint blue. I think we've all done that at some point, right?
Yeah. He fixed it though.
Did he say he like turned his airbrush and dumped some? Is that what he did?
Yeah, sloshed out of the cup.
Yeah.
He fixed it though. Every pair of shorts I have that I wear in the shop have one of those.
I wear one specific pair of shorts in my workbench and wash it daily. And because I don't want to get, I have one shirt and one shorts that I wear in here. It's like a smock, really. But
that was painful to see. But he rectified that pretty quickly, didn't he?
He did. Yeah.
I spilled the whole cup of Roof Brown over the back of my crawler.
I'm surprised I didn't see that earlier. I didn't pass by that. Did he show it? No, there's only 3 pictures. Marcus built this Yoda. We've been watching this come along for a little while with a little bonsai tree in the back.
Yeah, it's great.
That is great.
You're good.
Yeah. Great. Great job, Marcus.
Is that the Screamin'? No.
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I had one of those. 90s, I want to say. That thing's cool.
Yeah.
see what else you got here.
Back on that Death Star, I can't wait until that's done and we have studio lit photos of it. That's going to look.
That'll look incredible. Yeah. Let's see.
That looks like the Nostromo.
Yeah, it's the Snark Nostromo. That's on. That's funny enough. That's one of the ones on my shorter list. Like I love that.
Have you seen the new movie yet?
Yeah, we just saw it last weekend. Finally.
What'd you think?
I enjoyed it. Chris didn't. I
loved it. My brother said there's two kinds of people: the people that like Alien 4 and people that don't like Alien 4. And if you like Alien Resurrection, even if you don't like the Newborn, you're gonna like this new one. I was like, that's fair. But I also really enjoyed Prometheus and
I love Prometheus. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I like
of Prometheus and everything about the style of it a lot.
I'll tell you what I really liked about it. I love the beginning. The beginning of this movie is awesome. The world building.
I haven't seen the beginning of the film, have I yet, Chris?
Yeah,
I was sitting in the wrong theater.
The beginning, the characters in the beginning, the guy who plays the droid is fantastic. Everything about this movie. I even reached over to my son. I'm like, I really like this. This is just like this sets you in the same world as the original Alien. The beginning of it does. Yeah. The world that they're on. As soon as the face huggers come, I'm out. Like that just
No, I thought they were good. They were all practical. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, but it just became so like cliche and hokey and over the top.
But we're never going to get those films back. You kind of just have to enjoy what we've got.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
No, they don't make good movies at all anymore.
They even put the narcissists in it on the asteroid belt. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
at least Reg.
Yeah. Well, you missed the beginning where they cut the alien out of the. You'll have to watch it. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to watch it.
Hacker.
This is great fun.
This is awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
What? That's like a pocket-sized sandcrawler, right?
Yeah, like a little.
Look how he's done the tracks.
Yeah, like, oh, this is perfect.
Track marks.
Yeah,
and it's wet sand. That. Yeah, it's wet. He said it was wet sand, which is gives it this look. Yeah, what I'm looking for the back of the thing, the crawler. But this, awesome.
Chris, we should just put some wet sand on the crawler and just coat it with hairspray and hope it sticks.
I'm gonna do it on styrene first. But yeah, like the scale of this thing with the ground is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, try wet sand. Also try that saltwater idea.
Yeah, I messed around with some salt water, but it didn't. The salt grains didn't dissolve. I probably should have given it a little more time, but I'm gonna play around with it. I'm gonna get it. I want it.
What salt does he use?
Just normal table salt.
I would suggest trying some sea salt, be some bigger pieces.
Chardonnay oak smoked.
Now, I was talking to Benjamin about something for a base, and he was thinking it wouldn't work. I'm gonna be a nerd for a second. When you build a reptile enclosure, realistic, there's like a sandy type cement, like mud stuff that you can use as a backing, and you like mold it to be rock, and then it dries, and it's like cement, and it doesn't move. And I was like, oh, I wonder if you could.
No, I just said it wouldn't travel. It
wouldn't travel. Okay, so I could do it, but
if you checked it,
not a Wonderfest type thing. But that might be an option for like a base.
Yeah,
I'd have to find the name of it though, because you can buy it like as a mix, and then you just get water in it, and it becomes that.
That's awesome.
Painting mostly complete. I think there was a lot more. Your little droids, Jason.
Yeah, I'm doing. We've counted 17 so far that I've been able to document. Not fully. There's a couple like that guy came out of Gold Leader, and I have photos of it out of the model, and so I was able to get like the whole thing. Some of them it's just you only have the head and shoulders detail,
right.
But I was like, that's a fun little thing. I'm going to the Bay Area at the end of the month and seeing some people, so I want to like slip little things.
I think you need new Lazy Susans.
Yeah, I need the filters back in my thing too. Those fans are screaming at me. That's a Pache or Pash, however you say it, spray booth, and that's not going to move with us. So I'm like,
yeah,
I'm willing it into disrepair.
I have a Lazy Susan, but I cut a piece of round cardboard to put over top. I spray shit out of that.
You know what you need, Chris? You need a laser, and then you can.
That's what my lungs look like.
That largest Lazy Susan is actually covered in blue painter's tape, so that comes off and gets replaced. Actually, you're looking at it at its like end of life, and there's butcher paper lining.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
it's completely.
Every time I see it, like I don't have OCD at all, but every time I see it, I'm like, Jason, you gotta get a new one.
Yeah,
because that stuff's gonna come up on your model, and I'm just like,
that's all locked in. That's all.
Here it is. Here it is.
Yeah,
you got repaired. Done.
You got repaired.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
He was in the beginning. He was thinking about scrapping this idea and starting a new one. I'm like, no, keep going. I'm good.
He changed the line slightly when he redid it.
Yeah.
I love the color he's chosen. Well, the colors, the shade. That's lovely.
Yeah. It's not normal. The normal Death Star colored look that everybody goes for, but this artistically looks so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that finish. You're right, Aaron. When that's all lit up and done photographed
like
properly
from 10 feet away, it's going to look
much
larger than it really is.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, here. Yeah. I don't know what this is. This is one I missed 4 days ago. It's been a while since I posted here. Finished the set parts, assortment of parts. I'll need to cast. Is he?
That's an AMT, right? Isn't it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember this. Yeah, it was an AMT.
It's a lot of work.
Is that Scratchy? Is that his nickname, Scratchy, on the RPF? Was that his? He did a lot of work on the AMT Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
RPF's before my time.
It's still there.
Still there, barely. Let's see. And I don't know if a lot of you guys have noticed Joseph. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. He's posting Star Trek stuff on the group, and he's the only one posting Star Trek stuff.
No, I'm kidding.
And he was at
Kick him
Wonderfest. He was at Wonderfest, and he was talking to me for a while, and he was a real nice guy. And he's like, I told him about the group. He's like, but I do Star Trek. I'm like, I don't care. Post it. Let's see it. And he's been
that's cool
regularly contributing pictures of his work, and
straight to jail.
Star Trek guys get all the
no, that's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, let me look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this ship, at least, okay, the ships are cool. I will give it that.
Yeah. I can barely light engines on my models, let alone that.
Exactly. Yeah, me. I'm an electrician, and I can't even make them look like this.
Every time I've talked to Bill Krause, I'm like, I don't know how you can make everything so clean. Like, it's just such a discipline. I'm just enamored of the whole, like the car guys too, who like wax their car shells.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oof.
Oh god, yeah, the automotive paints like on the cars, they're just gorgeous,
just insane.
But like, I don't remember who it was who was telling me, but we gotta get to that then. But with a Star Trek ship, I think it was Joseph. It has to be lighted. Like it doesn't come alive unless it's lighted.
Its life is tied to the
blinking. The strobe lights,
and then Star Wars stuff. It's all in the
paint.
Well, and you don't really ever see them, on screen without being lit up. So
right. Yeah. John, I think this is hilarious. Like this, I don't want to make fun of anybody or anything like that. Like
but you will.
I will not. Because maybe he just did, but like. John, make your damn sandcrawler accurate.
Yeah, I know. I need to pull my finger out.
What? And maybe he didn't know. Maybe he had no idea.
That's a sandcrawler?
I'm kidding. I think it might be. But what happened was he got mistaken, and he said, John, it's a shame to keep this thing so inaccurate. And John was like, what? And it turns out it was the special edition caps to these.
Oh yeah.
He only knew it as the motorcycle part, and the other one, when in actuality they were both the tanker trailer parts, and they were identical. But he didn't know that. So but I don't know. At the same point,
But you
I
can't
think,
you can't go and kill these people online and just shout them because
no,
I mean no one knows everything, and just like
no.
I've learned the hard way. But I had it like typed out, almost ready to send, like to say, just do some research before you comment on someone's build. Or,
Yeah, it's
but I
kind of the way.
John, it looks really good.
It's kind of the way you went about it, though. Like, it's like, hey, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, John, what, like,
Jesus,
but
John.
it should have, maybe if he'd have worded it a little nicer and been like, am I missing something? Or, like, that's where I started laughing. Like,
yeah,
if
well,
I
then
don't know
Marvin was like, it would look nice if it was accurate or something, didn't he? On one of the
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing you're going to run into with the transport, which state of being. Speaking of, did you still need measurements on where to cut this?
Yes, I do.
Because, that's how it looked as intended. This is on the front. This is the mount cover.
Yeah.
And so that's how it looks now. And then most of the reference photos that were taken, they just jammed it in backwards and kind of like that. So it's like, pick which version.
Sorry, is that the vertical mount, Jason?
This is the front mount. So right, it would be sitting on its nose. Yes. Yeah. So the way the angle is, if you pull this off, the mount's like right back there, and this kind of butts up.
Oh, so that's what
into something.
That's what you meant about that was kicking about the archives. No one knew what it was from. Is that?
Yeah. And it's funny. I had emailed. I sent a picture of this to the archivist, and I was like, "Hey, heads up, your catalog number, blah blah blah. This piece, that's the front mount cover for the transport." Because every once in a while we figure something out like that, and I just right, either I or somebody else will throw them a email and say like, that goes to that, and they're like, oh cool, thanks. And she wrote back, it was a Facebook messenger text actually, and she wrote back almost immediately like, do you have a spy here? And I was like, oh, that's a loaded question, but I was like, no. She goes, because Tom Speen is here right now and we're going through parts and he's telling me with his knowledge base what goes where with maquettes. And I was like, no, this is weird coincidence. She's like, okay. So
I do need
bad timing on my part.
I do need to know where to cut that.
I'm gonna. I have a dopey little Patreon page where I'm cataloging all this stuff, and I took really nice beauty shots of this, so that you can better see everything because it's in primer. And I'll just put measurements. My solution was to put a magnet here and here, and there's this little extra piece of probably what you need to do is just put a little styrene there that this sits on, because the original, I think it was literally physically just
jammed in
back, and that will not do with
I just was curious, does it get cut right flush with that top piece, or pretty much and then next up with shouting out IDs, all this crap. I'm ready to do that.
Another one of these little fun guys.
I just got
knocked off one of these.
I got the P34 parts now, and I'm ready to join those together. One more question before you put that away. The Mirage engine.
Yeah.
Is that just halved, or do you have to glue it's just a half, right?
It's just a half.
Yeah.
And it's cut in a weird way.
Yeah.
And
angled.
Some BT46 stuff goes on the Jesus Christ, goes on the end of it. This little guy is just sort of hanging out in space at the moment because it's got to connect to all this other stuff. I really just wanted to have this done for Wonderfest as a sizzle reel kind of thing.
I love
real quick. This is the tank that I bought that I immediately stripped, and I can show you. I've already worked out just a little quick cover. Just dramatically changes how.
There you go.
Look, so I think that'll work pretty well.
We'll compare.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I've done a couple different design studies, and one of them completely failed. It just looks.
Andy was going to do another one for us that was almost like a Tomcat looking thing, and that kind of fell by the wayside. but I may eventually try to get him to jump back on that again.
What's fun about non-stop? He's like you, Jason. He just doesn't stop. Just keeps churning out stuff.
I had been doing this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it looks cool from that angle, but then once you start looking at it, it just looks like a boxy like delivery truck, and I'm like, so I've completely scrapped that. I mean, it's like that's just good, like reference or whatever. And now I'm doing this version. Will you go sideways for me? Yes. So that's the one I've already gotten rid of the bubble canopy because it's dopey. Like anytime you put a bubble on something, it starts looking like a mini rig.
Mini rig, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like mini rigs are cool, but I don't want a mini rig. So
what you don't want to make a studio scale MTV?
I've made a couple studio scale mini rigs as a joke.
Yes. Like he's made them for Mike Hawes.
Well, I remember your Endor Ranger. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
So what I added like a sandcrawler divot into the front instead of a bubble canopy, and I think that satisfies the Star Wars look. It almost looks like a big track tank, and like the back of it almost looks like an armadillo, and I'm like, it's starting to look a lot more Star Warsy already. I took a quick little spin around.
Oh, that's cool.
So after the show, I'll run down and get mine.
Oh, nice.
To you.
Yeah, and then we can race them.
Yeah,
it kind of reminds me of the Atari Tanks game.
Yeah. And there's that big Milton Bradley Big Track toy.
Oh, I remember that as well.
Yeah, we had one. My dad had that. We weren't allowed to play with it, so every time he went to work, we were like pushing the little keypad, making it go around the house.
When I built this the concept AT-AT, I wasn't going to RC it, but then it just already came. The tank, the Henlong was already RC'd, and I altered a bunch of things.
It's like
it's got all kinds of features, all kinds of sounds. There's smoke that comes out of it. Even.
Yeah, I got smoke and it should be.
Yeah, it's great. And then at that point, I was like, I never thought to RC the crawler.
Yeah.
And I was like, after I did that, I was like, oh, that'd be so great to make the crawler RC.
And then I thought about it, Chris.
Yeah, it's another $300, and I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, since I built that concept I still have only drove it one time. So like, I don't think all that work for it, and I'm not going to
hundreds of dollars in materials for lighting or whatever. My turret, that was probably an extra, I don't know, $1,500 to get it completely motorized.
Yeah, and I never run it.
I turn it on once a year.
Yeah, if that. Just I did it once for my 6-year-old nephew who came over one time, and that was it. He was like, "Oh, that's cool," and walked away to look at clones. So it's like
I showed my nephew, and he's like, "Do you have any Iron Men?" And I'm like, "Get out."
So
like,
I wanted
suit, and I was like, "No."
I think the last piece we're gonna. Did I get to all the pieces that were in the?
That's nice.
In the
preview.
Are we getting the Cantwell soon? Do we know that's going to arrive?
Yeah, they said they're shipping soon. I talked to them the other day.
He said he's going through the pre-order list now, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because I panicked because I'm like, all right, I can't find my receipt email. Did I mess up and not order this thing or what? And I wrote
Have we paid for shipping?
I don't know.
Was that in the price?
Couldn't tell you.
Probably not to the UK.
Probably not.
No.
This looks fantastic. Stuart's doing an incredible job on this.
Yeah, that's lovely.
It's really beautiful.
It's cool.
I wonder how many kids Stuart's got in his stash now.
Probably a whole room full.
I have, those Sterilite bins. I think they're like 66 quart or gallon or whatever. They're the big ones. I have 94.
Wow.
And it's, I don't say that as anything but like a confession, because they're all bagged and tagged. They're not even like I throw the boxes out because there's just no room, but 25 years of compulsive buying of model kit parts. It's just awful. I
bet you've bought the same kit so many times, but you had the part already.
I found myself doing that a while ago, and my wife is a data engineer, and so she knuckled me down and was like, database this, and I did, and it's brilliant now because now I can type in Peterbilt wrecker, and it's like bin number 66, also bin number 24 because you're a dummy, and I'm like, okay, but luckily I think there's only been a couple heartbreak moments where I was like, I just spent $80 on a kit I already have and I only need one. Usually you need two or more, so it's like not horrific.
Well,
but, yeah, I've done that. I have done that.
As long as you don't buy 4 frogs, you're good.
4 frogs.
Oh
right?
yeah, shit, yeah.
Right, John?
There were these little frog airplanes that I needed one part for the back of the crawler, and I thought I needed 4 because they were in 4 lines, but the part itself is made out of 4 like prongs.
So you bought 4.
So I ended up buying 4 of them. They were like £35 each.
Yeah.
And Chris was like, "You dummy! You needed 1." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And then I looked in it, and it does have wiring parts in it. So I'm like, "Okay, it's not the end of the world."
I've got a couple Google searches for things that like I've made 3 separate times scratch built probe droid pods. One of them had 5 312B pieces on it, like not castings, red styrene.
Oh wow, yeah.
And that was only because I had just been to Japan and the kits were like $30 a pop, and I bought I had 1 or 2, and I bought the rest.
That's so cheap.
But this is like 2009. And like
right.
they're even more there now. Like my friends like, they're like $70 now. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Robin and Aaron, wait until you start buying these kits and you're like, all right, I just need one little part. It's got to be in this kit. I got 5 of these already.
My largest checked bag was filled with sprues. No bags, no boxes, just raw sprues, smushed, like crunched in. It was insane.
But even if they re-release those F1 kits, which they are starting to do, they're still expensive.
They're still $100 a pop. Yeah. And so I've got a couple. I'm like, maybe I could get 5 over time. So I just had a Google search for it. Weirdly enough, I woke up this morning and somebody was selling that red sprue with the part for $10. So I bought it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great when you find that. Like you just need that one
sprue.
There's
one that's up there and it's been up there for a while. It's $30 or it's $20. But shipping's like $35 because it's coming from Japan. And I'm like, just buy the kit. If it's over $30-$40, buy the whole kit.
Yeah, you get a lot more parts with it. You never know later on down the line.
I was in the workshop here yesterday. The door just swung open. It was my son and his friend just bolted in here, and his friend had never seen this model room before, so he was like, "Oh my god," looking around all the models and stuff. But then his mum walked in, and I wasn't expecting her, and I was like, "Oh hi," and she was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Yeah, you've never seen this room?" And she was like, "No, this is really cool." And then I showed her the other room behind me, which is wall to ceiling of model kits, and the look of disappointment on her face was I've never felt so unattractive in my life.
I count my blessings every day that I found a partner that just is fine with all of it. She's like, whatever.
My wife's fine with it as long as it stays in this house and not my home I live in.
Oh, yeah. See, like I'm in the dining room right now, and there's an AT-AT sitting there waiting to be picked up. That'll sit there for another week, and there's that's permanent the landscape.
My wife would be like, all right, she'd give me a couple days, and then she'd be like, all right, time to move them downstairs.
There's a skyhopper on top of the clock for some reason. Oh, hold on, the bug people. I gotta.
So laser people guy, Benjamin.
Yes.
So all right, this was a hole already in the
I noticed the bottom middle one was from a previous.
So when I want to cut something now, I could put it at right here, right? If it's 60%, 5 millimeters per second, right? Or do I want to?
So I've never done test cards. I just have a Word document, and I keep track of my power settings.
Yeah.
Of what works, and don't forget, acrylic will also give it more than it needs on your test card, because don't forget, cast acrylic has a lot more variance than extruded acrylics. The extruded is pushed through a hole, a slot to shape it.
Mm-hmm.
Cast means it's like, think of it like an ice cream, like not ice cream, like an ice tray. So like they pour it in. so it can have variances in how thick it is.
Oh, okay.
So it can actually
your height on one side versus the other.
Yeah, even on one sheet it can vary, and that's why I
Yeah.
have so much of a hard time making those stands, and I'm
Yeah.
a bit behind because it's a pain.
Yeah, I noticed the one time I was building bases with my neighbor, and I ordered some acrylic on Amazon, and every time he tried to do it, it would just burn and do weird shit.
Well,
and
no,
then I
okay,
buy
that's
stuff from
no, that's a
from
couple of things. So if it's melting like horrible, so first of all, there's cast and there's extruded, and you need to know what you're doing it with. So one of them is better for cutting, and one of them is better for engraving.
Okay.
So cast is better for. I'm trying to remember. I think cast is better for cutting.
Okay.
I can't
You could
remember.
wait.
I'll
You could
look
add-
that
you
up.
could
I'll
tell
look
the
that
group
home
later.
before I confirm it and
So but in general, like I should be able to put my settings at this, and it'll cut through this piece, right?
in general. Now, a
In
couple
general.
of things like, and I don't know what your bed is made out of. If it's like a honeycomb bed,
Yeah.
You certainly want to lift it up off of the bed.
Oh,
So
okay.
With
some people,
pieces that are all the same thickness. You
some
don't
people
want
use
it like
scraps of acrylic. Some people use Lego, but I mean, you need to lift it up because otherwise you'll get flashback. The laser will go through. It'll hit the metal, which is reflective, or it'll hit carbon buildup on the metal, and it'll come back, and you'll get these black burn marks.
What you would do if you were doing a test here, but you needed to lift it up, you would technically, the holes that you cut out, you would stuff them under, because that would be the right evenness kind of thing. Or like scraps, but make sure they're all the same thickness so that you're not like throwing your
but if you're having trouble with it getting like kind of sticky and like almost melting, then it might be neither cast nor extruded. It might be plexiglass and you don't want to do that. Like Lexan is another term. You don't want to use Lexan. You don't want to use plexiglass. I'll share you a link. I don't remember if I already told you about it, but I use Houston acrylic, which is close for me, but it's really nice in the US. I think it's either $50 or $100 and it's free shipping. And you can, if you give me your tax number, it's no sales tax.
I don't have a tax number. I'm just a dude. But like the engraving part, like like which one do I pick? Like, I don't really know. Like, I'm sure these are deeper, right? These are probably deeper.
Well, do also keep in mind, so there's all different things you can do. Like, for instance, you're leaving the paper on, but depending on what you're doing and how complicated it is with how much, it's called weeding, removing all the like paper. Oftentimes you can take the paper off and use some dish soap and smear it on there and let it dry. It dries in like a minute and a half, and then you can laser through it, and that will keep the smoke from affecting the rest of the acrylic. And then when you're done cutting it, you just wash it off. Otherwise, if you're doing something really complicated or scribe line,
we're not there yet.
You'll be pulling off pieces of paper, paper for.
Well, what I do is I have like these little letters, and then I just use like tape. It pulls off right away. Pulls off real easy. So,
there's a lot of techniques. I mean, as you come across stuff, I'll give you some advice on stuff.
All right, I think we are good.
Yeah, I've got to go and pick the kids up from school. So
I was wondering if you were picking bugs out or what. Like, thanks for joining us, guys. Parminder, I knew you had some work you had to do during I heard you tapping away.
Sorry about that. But
no, it's fine. Completely fine. It's just Aaron, you were doing work too, right?
Yeah, the last 15 minutes I've had some emails and messages coming in.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't gotten a million calls by now. I did turn my ringer off, but I probably will end up having to pay for that and go back and take care of all this stuff. But this one went really long, which was longer than usual, but that's cool because
it was a lot of fun. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Brian was asking how often you're going live lately.
We are doing in the evenings every other Tuesday night. We have Jason and I and whoever else we can bring on. We had Brian Babbage on last Tuesday. So every other week we do at night, and every alternating week we do in the morning usually. I'm going to try to get it more frequent in the mornings. Probably once a week, basically, whether it's at night or during the day. And then we have other live shows stuck in there too with specific models. We're going to be doing a Sandcrawler model show coming up real soon, as soon as we can nail down a date with Mr. Goodson. It's going to be great. I can't wait for that one. We dive into.
That's going to be awesome.
And don't forget, you can reach out to John Eblin again too.
Yeah. And that's coming up. I have the thumbnail all ready to go, and we're just trying to nail down a date to do that. And we're going to keep doing this. We do this with, where we check out people's builds on the group. This time we almost didn't get to it because we had so much fun talking beforehand. But that's okay. That's perfectly fine.
That's what shooting the ships is.
Right, exactly. Started out as Rogue 1-6 shooting the shit.
Absolutely.
And I really never liked that name. Yeah, I never liked that name because it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little too vulgar for a show. I don't know. But I repurposed it, made it Shooting the Ships, and it worked out perfectly. So
that's fun and body.
Yes. So this coming Tuesday night, Jason and I have a show, and we'll probably have a couple people on. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to try to do another one of these. I'd love to nail down a specific day, but that's almost impossible with some of John's schedule, my schedule. It's hard to get exact people on the same day. So this was good that we got so many today, and I love it. And Marvin was going to come, but he had ended up last minute work job to take care of, but he'll be on next time. So, thanks, guys. I really appreciate all of you taking time this morning to jump on. This was fun.
I'm glad I showed up for the very end.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna jump off until I knew for sure you were.
Sorry, my bee guy just told me that they're coming on Monday, so I've got to live with bees until Monday.
You had to go. You had to get the aliens bee stompers.
Oh my God, yeah.
John,
Ripley,
how great.
Ripley can't come until Monday, so
how great are these things? They're just great.
I haven't actually used them under the door yet to get the cat to catch them.
Yeah, that's what they are. They're little door things. You put it under the door and play with the cat. I found it on Etsy. It was perfect. A little middle finger. Perfect. All right, guys, we're gonna end the show, but don't go anywhere if you don't have to. Just talk for a minute, and then we're just gonna end the show now.
Cool.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.